Okay, let's finish this up. Matthew 25. Then the kingdom of heaven shall be likened to 10 virgins who took their lamps and went out to meet the bridegroom. Virgins are people who haven't gotten married or had sex. Now 5 of them were wise and 5 were foolish. Those who were foolish took their lamps and took no oil with them, but the wise took oil in their vessels with their lamps. So the kingdom of heaven will be like 10 virgins who took their lamps and went out to meet the bridegroom. 5 of them were foolish and took their lamps and took. Wait. 5 of them were wise and 5 were foolish. Those who were foolish took their lamps and took no oil. And 5 who were wise. Here it is down here. 5 of them were foolish and took no oil with their lamp, and 5 of them were wise and took oil in their vessels with their lamps. So 5 of them were wise and took oil, 5 of them were foolish and took no oil. But while the bridegroom was delayed, they all slumbered and slept. So the bridegroom says, I'm delayed. They all slumbered and slept. All the virgins slept. At midnight, a cry was heard. Behold, the bridegroom is coming. Go out to meet him. So when the bridegroom was delayed, they all slumbered and slept. And then at midnight, a cry was heard. The bridegroom is coming. Go out to meet him. So they're kind of panicking. And the foolish said to the wise, Give us some of your oil, for our lamps are going out. But the wise answered, saying, No, lest there should not be enough for us and you, but go rather to those who sell and buy for yourself. And while they went to buy, the bridegroom came. So the foolish said to the wise, Give us some of your oil, our lamps are going out. And the wise said, No, lest there should not be enough for us and you, but go rather to those who sell and buy for yourself. And while they went out, the bridegroom came. The virgins who were ready went in with him to the wedding banquet, and the door was shut. Later the others also came. Lord, Lord, they said, open the door for us. But he replied, Truly I tell you, I don't know you. Therefore keep watch, because you do not know the day or the hour. So the virgins who were ready went in with him to the wedding banquet, and the door was shut. Later the others also came. Lord, Lord, they said, open the door for us. But he replied, Truly I tell you, I don't know you. Therefore keep watch, because you do not know the day or the hour. Watch therefore, for you know neither the day nor the hour in which the Son of Man is coming. What's the day? What's the time? We don't know. But we need to watch. Watch therefore, for you know neither the day nor the hour in which the Son of Man is coming. All the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate the people one from another, as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. It's Matthew 25:33. He will put the sheep on his right and the goats on the left. All the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate the people one from another, as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. Then the king will say to those on his right hand, Come, you blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. So the king will say to those on his right hand, Come, you blessed of my Father, and inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was a stranger, and you took me in. Jesus was a stranger, but you took him in. I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came to visit me. Inasmuch as you did it to one of these my brethren, you did it to me. Matthew 25:35-40. So, inasmuch as you did all these things to my brethren, you did it to me. You did it to Jesus. You treated Jesus this way. Matthew 26:7. A woman came to him with an alabaster jar of very expensive perfume, which he poured on his head. The lady came and poured perfume on his head. Then one of the 12, called Judas Iscariot, went to the chief priests and said, "What are you willing to give me if I deliver him to you?" So Judas asked the chief priests, "What will you give me if I deliver him to you?" So they counted, and he's one of the 12 disciples, one of the friends. So they counted out for him 30 pieces of silver, Matthew 26:15. So 30 pieces of silver were given to Judas, the disciple, his friend, to turn in Jesus. Matthew 26:23. The one who has dipped his hand into the bowl with me will betray me. So they're having dinner together. Who will deceive Jesus? The one who has dipped his hand into the bowl with me will betray me. And here's a bigger picture. Assuredly, I say to you, one of you who eats with me will betray me. It is one of the 12 who dips with me in this dish. Is it me? Is it me? Whoever dips with me in this dish, which is Judas. Judas was the betrayer. The Son of Man goes just as it is written of him. But woe to that man by whom the Son of Man is betrayed. It would have been good for that man if he had never been born. So the betrayer of woe, sadness to the betrayer of the Son of Man. It would be better if he had not been born. So Judas is very woeful. So this is the Last Supper. Take, eat, this is my body. This is my blood of the new covenant, which is shed for many. So this is Jesus' last meal, Last Supper. He's eating it and drinking to remember him. Communion. I will no longer drink of the fruit of the vine until that day when I drink it new in the kingdom of God. So I no longer drink of the fruit of the wine, grape juice or wine, of the vine, until I drink it new in the kingdom of God. After they sung a hymn, they went up to the Mount of Olives. So they sang a hymn and then went to the mountain. And I like to draw olives when I think of Mount of Olives. I will strike the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock will be scattered. Matthew 26:31. He's going to strike the shepherd, and the sheep will be scattered. So Jesus will be stricken, and his followers will scatter. After I have risen, I will go ahead of you into Galilee. Matthew 26:32. So after he rises, he will go to Galilee. He will die and then rise again. Now Peter was sitting out in the courtyard, and a servant girl came to him. You were also with Jesus of Galilee, she said. But he denied it before them all. I don't know what you are talking about, he said. So the servant girl says, you also were with Jesus of Galilee. And Peter says, I don't know what you're talking about. So Peter is denying Jesus. Then he went into the gateway where another servant girl was and said to the people there, Then he went to the gateway where another servant girl was and said to people there, this fellow was with Jesus of Nazareth. He denied it again with an oath. I don't know the man. So another servant girl, is in the courtyard, and she says, this fellow was with Jesus of Nazareth. Peter denies him again. I don't know the man. I don't know Jesus. After a little while, those standing there went up to Peter and said, "Surely you are one of them. Your accent gives you away." Then he began to call down curses, and he swore to them, "I don't know the man." Immediately a rooster crowed, and he went outside and wept. So Jesus had said, "You will deny me." I don't. And Peter did. So some people said to Peter, "Surely you are one of them. Your accent gives you away." And then he swears, blah, 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 blah. "I don't know the man. I don't know Jesus." And the rooster crows. Cock crows. Cock-a-doodle-doo. So Jesus had said, when the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times. So Peter wept because he regretted denying Jesus. So Jesus went away and prayed, saying, "If it is possible, may this cup be taken away from me. Yet not as I will, but as you will." Matthew 26:42. So Jesus went away and prayed, "If it's possible, take this cup away from me. I don't want to do this. Yet not as I will, but you will." Then they came and laid hands on Jesus. "Do you think I cannot call on my Father, and he will at once put at my disposal more than 12 legions of angels?" I think legions are like teams or groups. Matthew 26:53. So they came and laid hands on Jesus to arrest him. And he said, "Do you think I cannot call on my Father, and he will at once put at my disposal more than 12 legions of angels?" 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. God can bring out the angels for Jesus, but Jesus has to go through this. Matthew 27:5. Judas threw the money in the temple and left. Then he went and hanged himself. So Judas had regrets. He threw the money in the temple and left. Then he went and hanged himself, and he died. Killed himself. Matthew 27:19. So Jesus went to trial, and a leader named Pilate tried him. His wife sent him, Pilate, a message: "Don't have anything to do with that innocent man, for I have suffered a great deal today in a dream because of him." So Pilate's wife is dreaming about Jesus and said, "Don't have anything to do with him. I've dreamed a lot about him." Matthew 27:21. So Pilate said, "Which of the 2 do you want me to release to you?" When Jesus was tried in court. "Barabbas," they answered. So Jesus and Barabbas were charged, and they let out one person to be free, and they said, "Which of the 2 do you want me to release?" Asked the governor. "Barabbas," they answered. So they didn't release Jesus. Jesus was charged. The governor's soldiers took Jesus into the praetorium and gathered the whole company of soldiers around him. They stripped him and put a scarlet robe on him and a crown of thorns on his head. Then they knelt in front of him and spit him and mocked him. "Hail, King of the Jews!" They spit on him and took the staff and struck him on the head again and again. Matthew 27:31 to 31. Then they led him away to be crucified. So the governor's soldiers took Jesus and gathered the whole company around him. They stripped him and put on a scarlet red robe and a crown of thorns on his head. Then they knelt in front of him and mocked him. "Hail, King of Jews!" Ha ha ha. They spit on him, and they took the staff and struck him on the head again and again. Then they led him away to be crucified. And Pilate, the judge or the leader, he took water and washed his hands in front of the crowd. "I am innocent of this man's blood." Matthew 27:27. So Pilate washed his hands, said, "I'm innocent. I didn't do this." Matthew 27:32. They met a man from Cyrene named Simon, and they forced him to carry the cross. So Jesus was carrying his cross to be crucified, and they forced Simon from Cyrene to carry the cross for Jesus. Matthew 27:39. Those who passed by hurled insults at him, shaking their heads and saying, "Insults, insults, insults." So what did they say? They'd pass him by and say, "In the same way, the rebels who were crucified with him also heaped insults on him." So people would walk by and they said, "He saved others, but he can't save himself. He's the King of Israel. Let him come down from the cross and we will believe in him. He trusted in God. Let God rescue him. Now, if he wants him, for he said, I am the Son of God. Let God rescue him now if he wants him, for he said, I am the Son of God." So the people walking by made fun of him and insulted him, and the people on the cross insulted him. So there was Jesus on the cross and two people next to him. Now from the 6th hour there was darkness all over the land until the 9th hour. So from the 6th hour to the 9th hour there was darkness all over the land. And about the 9th hour Jesus cried with a loud voice, saying, "Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani," that is to say, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Some of them that stood there, when they heard that, said, "This man calls for Elias." And straightway one of them ran and took a sponge and filled it with vinegar and put it on a reed and gave it to him to drink. Matthew 27:48. About the 9th hour, when it's all dark, Jesus cried with a loud voice, saying, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani." And they said, "This man calls for Elias." So they brought him a sponge and filled it with vinegar and put it on a reed and gave it to Jesus to drink. The rest said, "Let it be. Let us see whether Elias will come to save him." Jesus, when he had cried again with a loud voice, yielded up the ghost, and behold, the veil of the temple was torn in two from the top to the bottom. So the rest of them said, "Let us see if Elias will come save him." And then Jesus, when he had cried again with a loud voice, yielded up the ghost and died. And behold, the veil of the temple was torn from the top to the bottom. Pilate said, "Give the order for the tomb to be made secure until the 3rd day, otherwise his disciples may come and steal the body." Matthew 24:63-64. Give the order for the tomb to be made secure until the 3rd day, otherwise his disciples may come and steal the body. Matthew 28:13. You are to say to his disciples, "Come during the night," and his disciples came during the night and stole him away when we were asleep. So Jesus is out of the tomb,